This morning I was sat in the garden with my daughter. She's little, at the age where everything is worth investigating. And she'd found something in the grass, a bug, a leaf, just a patch of dirt that looked pretty interesting to her. And she was completely absorbed in it. The way kids are before the world teaches them to be somewhere else in their head. And I was just watching her, actually watching her. Not with my phone face down on the table next to me, not half present while some part of my brain turned over a client thing or a decision I hadn't made yet, just there, in the garden, in the morning light, watching my daughter look at something in the grass. I had this moment of recognition. This was it. This was the thing that I'd been trying to build toward without always being able to name it clearly, because it wasn't always like this. I am, by default, a distracted person, anxious, head always moving, obsessive about progress and growth in a way that doesn't switch off when I leave the desk. And for a long time, I'd have told you that this is just how I was wired, the price of being driven, and maybe even something to be a little bit proud of. The honest version of how I was actually showing up looked something like this. Phone out when it shouldn't be, mid-conversation, mid-meal, mid-whatever, reaching for it without even consciously deciding to. My wife talking to me and some part of my brain already somewhere else, playing with the dog and thinking about a sales conversation that I should have had that morning. Physical location was wherever I was, and that was all I could say for certain. And here is what I kept on telling myself. I'll be present when things settle down, when the business is more stable, when this particular pressure lifts. You know how it goes. Things don't settle down. You just keep deferring the version of yourself you actually want to be to some moment unknown in the future. The moment it shifted wasn't dramatic. We were talking about having kids, Harriet and I could see it clearly. Not as some abstract concern, but something directly in front of me. That I did not want to be the kind of dad who was successful and never home. Not even physically absent, the other kind, sitting right there and being completely unreachable. I'd seen it. I knew what it looked like from the outside, and I could see myself becoming it if I wasn't going to change anything, and that was enough. So I started training it. Early on, it was bad. I'd sit down to meditate and last a grand total of 4 minutes before my brain was somewhere else entirely. I'd put my phone in another room and find myself standing in that room 10 minutes later with no memory of walking there. I'd be in a conversation trying to be just in the conversation, and I'd catch myself composing my response while the other person was still talking. Not listening at all. Just waiting. I gave up twice at least. Not big dramatic givings up. Just letting it slide because it didn't seem to be working and there were easier, more familiar things to do with my time. What kept bringing me back was the business. I started noticing this pattern. My worst weeks, decisions deferred, conversations avoided, that low-grade mental static that turns a workday into a long exercise in just not doing the thing. They tracked directly with how scattered I was and my mind was, how present I was in any given moment. And I started to see it the same way I see physical training. You don't get stronger by trying harder in the moment. You get stronger by accumulating reps until the capacity is just there, available, without effort. Presence works in just the same way. The phone doesn't get any less interesting. The mental noise doesn't disappear. You just get stronger relative to it. So back to this morning. What was different wasn't that my mind was empty. It's never empty. What was different was that the pull wasn't there. The reaching, that low-grade sense that I should be somewhere else or checking something. I was just in the moment. I was in it. And it wasn't something I had to work for. It was just what was available. That's what the reps had built. Success without this is hollow. I mean that literally. If you can build something real something that by any external measure looks like the thing you're working towards. And if you can't be in the room when it matters, if you can't be with the people it was supposed to be for, then you've built something you can't actually inhabit. The business sharpens too. Decisions get cleaner. That work that moves forwards gets done because you're actually there for it. But that's almost secondary. What I was sitting with in the garden this morning was simpler. I was there. My daughter was there. There was nothing lost. Where's your attention right now? And who gets the remainder? That gap is worth closing, and you can start the first rep today.